For literally thousands of years, a single, profound question has echoed across the Indian subcontinent. What is the true nature of reality? Well, today, we're going to explore the incredible philosophical heritage that grew from that one question. A tradition of insight that, believe it or not, still shapes our world.
You know, this ancient proverb really sets the perfect tone for our journey. The wealth we're talking about here isn't gold or anything like that. It's an intellectual and spiritual treasure, a body of knowledge that has only gotten richer and deeper with every single generation.
For millennia, the Indian subcontinent has been this amazing hotbed for seekers. Sages, saints, and philosophers who dedicated their entire lives to figuring out life's biggest questions. And what's really remarkable is just how many different kinds of thinkers there were and all the different paths they created. Okay, so to wrap our heads around this huge tradition, we're going to use a really simple metaphor, an ancient tree. We'll start by digging down into its roots, then follow the strong trunk that grew from them, and finally explore all the different branches that blossomed out. So our journey begins at the very source. We're digging deep into the ancient roots of this incredible intellectual tree, the Vedas.
The word Veda itself literally means knowledge. So you've got these four texts, the Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva Vedas, and they're some of the oldest scriptures in the entire world, just this massive collection of beautiful hymns and powerful prayers.
But here's what's absolutely incredible. Before a single word was ever written down, these super complex texts were passed orally from teacher to student for up to 200 generations. Can you even imagine that? It's such an amazing feat of cultural memory that UNESCO actually recognizes Vedic chanting as a masterpiece of human heritage.
Now, right at the heart of how these Vedic thinkers saw the world is this concept of ritam. Think of it like the universe's operating system, the fundamental order or harmony of everything. The ancient seers, the rishis, truly believed their sacred chants and rituals helped keep this cosmic balance, weaving human life right into the fabric of the cosmos.
Now, the Vedas mention a lot of different gods and goddesses, but this one powerful line from the Rig Veda gives us this profound insight. The existent is one, but sages give it many names. What it's suggesting is that all these different gods are really just expressions of a single supreme reality. So this core idea, unity in diversity, was there right from the very beginning. All right, let's move up to the trunk of our tree and see how all this starts to grow. As Indian thought evolved, the questions started to get even deeper. They began to shift from the outer world of gods and rituals to the inner world of the self.
You can really see that evolution of thought right here. Building on the foundation of the Vedas, a new set of texts came along called the Upanishads. Now, these thinkers weren't throwing out the past. They were pushing its boundaries, asking much deeper, more personal questions about the nature of existence itself.
And the central idea they came up with was Brahman. If the Vedas saw one reality with many names, the Upanishads define that reality as a single divine essence that flows through absolutely everything. It's like the invisible thread connecting you, me, the stars, and even that tiniest speck of dust.
This brings us to one of the most powerful and famous phrases from the Upanishads, Tet Thwam Asi, or you are that. So what does that actually mean? It means your innermost self, your core being, isn't separate from that universal divine essence. You are it. Now, to explain this kind of abstract idea, the sages used these simple, beautiful stories. One of them is about a boy named Shvetaketu. His father asks him to take a tiny seed from a giant banyan tree and just break it open.
So Shvetaketu looks inside and says, "Father, I don't see anything at all." And his father explains that the unseen essence within that tiny, seemingly empty seed holds the potential for the entire mighty tree.
And that just illustrates the point so brilliantly. Just like the tree is hidden inside the seed, that universal essence, Brahman, is the unseen reality of everything. You, the father tells his son, are that. You contain the entire universe right inside of you. Okay, so from this really strong trunk of shared ideas, new branches began to shoot out in all directions. A whole vibrant landscape of different schools and thinkers popped up, and each one was trying to map its own unique path toward the ultimate truth.
And this was the critical question that really kicked off these new movements. As thinkers debated all these ideas, some of them began to challenge the core assumptions and explore completely different ways of thinking about everything.
And as these new schools emerged, a pretty big split happened.
Some, like the early Buddhist tradition, actually challenged the foundational authority of the Vedas. This marked the growth of totally new branches on our tree of knowledge, each one charting a bold, independent course. One of the most influential of all these new seekers was a prince named Siddhartha Gautama. His personal quest to find an end to suffering led him down a very different path, one that was based on his own direct experience, and that would ultimately become the foundation for all of Buddhism.
But if we look really closely at the roots, the trunk, and every single branch, we find one common thread that weaves through them all: this courageous and totally relentless spirit of asking questions.
This spirit is perfectly embodied by people like Gargi, a female seer who stood up in a king's court and fearlessly cross-examined a famous male sage about the ultimate nature of reality. This tradition really valued asking the hard questions, and it didn't matter who was asking them.
And it wasn't just for scholars and sages either. I mean, look at the story of the young boy Nachiketa. He travels all the way to the land of the dead and puts the ultimate question directly to Yama, the god of death himself. What happens after we die? This pursuit of knowledge was for everybody.
And across all of these diverse traditions, a shared theme keeps coming up. As this Buddhist teaching says so powerfully, the ultimate journey was an internal one. The greatest victory wasn't about conquering armies on a battlefield, it was about mastering your own mind.
So we end by turning these questions back to you. What is the nature of reality? What happens after we die? How do we find true happiness? You see, these aren't just historical artifacts, they are timeless human questions. So which ones still resonate in your life today?